good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from around the world. It's great to be here with all of you. My name is Chiara Fasching. I'm a lecturer in computing, and I'm very pleased to welcome you this evening session of our 2025 November to Remember talk series. This is hosted by the Center of Intelligence of Things at the University of Greater Manchester here in Bolton, and under the leadership of Professor Celestini Wendy, who is here with us as well. And I'm joined this evening by my student ambassador, Hafiz, from whom you will hear very soon. So first, I would like to welcome our students who are here, our head of school, Sam, our dignitaries, our special guests, our partner, and our colleagues who have joined from various institutions and industries from around the world, which represents and reflects the collaborative spirit of what this represents. So just quickly, for those of you who never attended our November to Remember series before, the goal of these talks is to bring together global leaders, innovators, academics, and students so that we can all exchange ideas that will inspire us in terms of technology advancement, ethical leadership, and also inclusive practice development. So our series this year is titled Powering Possibilities, Technology, Trade, and the Future of Human Development. So we've already heard many thought-provoking talks this week, which left students and professionals inspired and empowered. And we look forward to further opportunities this evening to harness how we can collaborate in terms of innovation for the greater good. And in the process of this, our vision is to foster a much more global community in terms of how we share impactful knowledge. We've been joined by innovators who are shaping how technology can empower our progress as humans, can empower social equity, and bring about more sustainable future as well. So really do encourage you all to take something away, no matter how small it is. You never know that little nugget from every single of these talks might just spark something impactful that will lead you to action in your career, whether you're a student, whether you're a professional joining us from practice, or whether you're someone from the industry. So our session tonight continues with this theme. And Hafiz, who is our student ambassador for tonight's talk, will have privileged a few minutes of introducing our distinguished speaker, Deborah, who is the founder of CEO of Rocket Smart IO. We're really looking forward to your talk, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. So I really do encourage you to engage. And just a reminder, please, make sure your mic stays muted. And I will keeping us time. Deborah will start her presentation in a few minutes with the view to conclude around 6:55 p.m. And I'm sure it will be a very impactful talk. At the end of the talk, we'll have a little Q&A, and then I will hand over to Sam, our head of school, for the closing remarks. So thank you again for everyone who's joined us at the moment, and I really hope that you take away some insight from this evening's talk. So thank you, Hafiz, and I will give it over to you to introduce our speaker for tonight.
Thank you very much, Shara, for that. I'm really privileged and I'm humbled to be among the ambassador for this year, November to Remember. My name is Hafiz, like Shara mentioned, and I will be reading our speaker's biography for tonight. So I'm going to share my screen. Can we all see my screen, please?
It's just loading. It should be there in a second. It's still loading for me. There we go. It's shared now.
Okay, great. Okay, so Dr. Chiara is the founder and a CEO of RocketSmarts.io and an AI-powered platform that helps university and other tech transfer organizations find the best corporate partners. We can all check out the latest release at RocketSmarts.io. She is also the author of the recently published book titled The AI Process Playbook for Business, and she is a TEDx speaker. Since 2015, Dr. Deborah has been focused on training AI models and finding the best use cases for AI tools. She has been programming since the age of 16 and programmed for the Human Genome Project. She and RocketSmart.io have an active AI consultancy, accelerating their clients into the AI future with the best tools, models, and policies. Dr. Deborah received an undergraduate degree in biochemistry from Harvard and a PhD in pharmacology from the University of Michigan. She did 2 postdocs with the Human Genome Project as a programmer and she is also a US patent agent. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to the mic our presenter for tonight, our speaker for tonight, Dr. Devorah Graeser. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the kind introduction, Nafis, and thanks to everyone for being here. And of course, thanks to Dr. Celestina Wendy for inviting me. All right, do I get to take over? Hopefully now I can share my screen. Now, of course, once I want to do it actually in person, it will not work, but let's hope for the best. Okay, does everyone, all right, let me go into presentation mode.
We
All
can
right, does everyone see
your
my
screen.
screen in presentation mode? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I'm here to talk about AI innovations in business. Thanks again to the organizers for inviting me. This is part of the November to Remember event with the University of Greater Manchester and the Center for Intelligence of Things. So I would like you to imagine walking into your office tomorrow morning. The world changed overnight, new competitors, new expectation, new risks, but your business tools stayed the same. What if this isn't a theoretical question? What if every decision that your business is making today came from assumptions that are already outdated? This isn't about technology. This is about whether or not your business can keep up with the competition or get left behind. So imagine you were in a sailboat in a storm. You would want to have the most current data on that storm, right? You wouldn't be trying to navigate the storm with last year's data. So running a business without AI is like trying to navigate that storm without data. Now, I picked this image for a reason. This is an image taken from America's Cup, and it's a sailing competition involving sailboats, no motors. Now, these sailboats use the latest in composite materials that are lightweight and strong, and the latest structures, and the latest electronics. So everything is super up to date. But they still have all of the excitement and tradition of sailing without restricting themselves to 18th century wooden boats. When you bring AI into your business, you can still keep your culture and your traditions and all the excitement about your business together while being able to use all of the latest technologies. AI will not change your business to something you don't want it to be, but it will enable you to navigate the storms that all businesses have to go through. So folks, this is you right now. The innovators, the operators, strategists, decision makers, students, people who work in companies. And I know you're all real busy. You are already juggling a lot. And a lot of folks come to me and they say, you know what, we have a lot of concerns about AI, such as how can I innovate without breaking things? Or what about ethics or safety or bias? How can I incorporate AI without those problems? And I'm already juggling so much. How can I add one more thing? But just imagine the possibilities if AI could remove those constraints and roadblocks that are keeping you from having your dream company, from doing the dream business that you know you're capable of. But you just need a little bit of help. AI could help you overcome all of those blocks that are holding your business back and enable you to create the business of your dreams. So what's at stake is nothing less than the future of your company, the future of business. On the one hand, without AI, we can expect to have inefficiency, yes, but also errors and customer churn. Now, why customer churn? Customers expect more and more personalization from you. AI enables you to interact with each customer as a unique human being, to give them that feeling of being special, of being heard, of being treated like the unique person that they are. Without AI, and for certain in the future, your business is going to encounter a lot of churn. Entire industries are reinventing themselves even as we speak, not next year, not in 5 years' time, but right now. You want to be, oops, someone's drawing on the screen. I don't know if you want to point anything out for a question, shoot it up and share, can let me know. You want to be like the person on the right. You're using the AI assisted workflows, you're giving personalization, everything is going well for you and your clients. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking and worrying about AI. Will it replace me? How can I profitably add AI to my business without firing a whole lot of people? I mean, we hear all these talks, right, about these CEOs of Wells Fargo and IBM and all the big companies saying that their primary use for AI is to get rid of people, to reduce headcount, and that is how they're going to be profitable. But AI in business is not about taking away, it's about adding. AI doesn't replace people, at least not when it's done well. Instead, it unlocks human potential. So AI is about adding. When you incorporate AI in your business in the right way, what will happen is your existing people will be able to do much, much more, and they'll be able to serve your customers better. And yes, that will lead, of course, to greater productivity and getting more done, and yes, to greater profits. But ultimately, all of these good things will come from the fact that you will be able to unlock the human potential within your business, not replacing people, but enabling people in your company to give their absolute best and to reach their maximum potential. All right, so this is me. I'm an all-around geek, PhD scientist, tech entrepreneur, ultramarathon runner, TEDx speaker, bridging innovation, endurance, and impact. There's the book I authored, but perhaps more importantly, there's my email address. I love talking about AI, and I will talk about AI till the cows come home. So if you have questions about AI for business, for innovation in a commercial capacity, or even about what it's going to mean for your future as a student, hit me up. There's my email address. Email me, please. I'd love to talk with you. So at the end of the day, every business and every part of every business is about sales. Now you may say, well, I don't sell directly to my customers. But when you propose a new idea to your boss, or if you're trying to get your team to adopt new sales, new software, you are engaging in sales. And sales, at its core, it's about relationships. Now, AI can automate tasks, increase throughput, surface insights, reduce friction, but there is one thing that AI cannot do well. It cannot replace trust, because trust is human to human, and trust is the basis of relationships. So AI can't replace us in our relationships. AI can't take our place when we're trying to communicate with others ultimately. AI can help us do these things, but it can't replace us. And people buy from other humans. So let's suppose, for example, you're going to the University of Greater Manchester, and you want to go and do some work with them. Are you going to go and buy from the University of Greater Manchester? No, you're going to buy from Dr. Celestine Wendy. He's the person. People buy from people. That is about relationships. That is one thing AI cannot replace. It can augment, but ultimately you as the human in the business, you're the one who's responsible for making these relationships work. AI's real value is freeing humans to do what they do best, which is creating trust in relationships and interacting with other humans. So we're looking right now, I believe, at a new era, the era of human potential. And just like electricity powered the industrial age, AI will power the human potential age. So throughout this November to Remember series, from Professor Joachim Jorge on XR neural networks, to Kathleen Kramer on global AI leadership, to Dr. Celestine Wendy on intelligent systems, the message is clear. AI is the next foundation of business innovation. Because just like electricity powered the machines that started the industrial age, the best AI, the right AI, powers human potential. So how is this going to help you in your business, you may be asking? Well, I want to start with a basic premise. Your company is a system. It's not a collection of tasks. And like all systems, it works best when you interact with it as a whole system. So here's an example, a container ship. If you just wanted to interact with one container, would that help you run the whole ship? No. Would that keep the ship from tipping over? No. You need to look at the container ship as an entire system. Or how about a library? If you want to find a book in a library, you need to have a system in that library so that you can locate books by whatever criteria you have. Author, title, subject matter, whatever it is. If there isn't a system, that library is useless. You will never be able to find the right book. And plumbing, humble and yet oh so important. If you were to interact with this plumbing system by just choosing to interact with one pipe, just work on one pipe, you would get a really big surprise the next time you went to turn on the faucet. If you don't interact with systems, including businesses, then AI will not work. Businesses fail with AI when they try to apply it to isolated tasks without thinking about all the different connections. AI works best when it's actually plugged into the entire system. Now, every company is a flow. Customers, operations, delivery, relationships, and all of these flows occur through an entire complex system that is your business. AI helps manage complexity throughout the system if it is plugged into business as a system, so it can help humans do the one thing they do best, which I will keep on mentioning, create relationships. That is what AI frees us up to do, and that is what we do far better than any machine. Now, AI looks really simple on the surface. You have a prompt and an answer, right? What could be simpler? But AI hides complexity. And this is another important point for you and your business. All software hides complexity. We don't talk to our computers in binary, right? We built software languages and operating systems like Windows and Mac. And then on top of that, we built the graphical user interface, all of which makes it easier for us as humans to work with the computer, and all of which hides the complexity behind the computer system. But what is true for a regular computer is true 100-fold, 1,000-fold, even 1,000,000-fold for AI. As much as computers hide complexity from us, AI hides even more. Beneath that complexity is massive computation, decision-making systems, all of the work that goes into making AI seem so seamless and easy for us. There's a ton of work that occurs behind the systems, behind your graphical user interface. Now, that complexity doesn't disappear. Just because AI makes it all seem oh so simple for us, the complexity still has to go somewhere. And as a business owner, leader, employee, we all have to understand that we need to know where that complexity is gone and how it's being handled. In an AI system, if you don't understand how you're handling the complexity, where it's going, what tools are being used, what data is being used, then what happens is the AI starts to behave unpredictably. This is called hallucinations. But hallucinations are just answers we don't want. So how does the AI know what we want? Well, we have to tell it. And we have to tell it in very explicit terms. And yet even the simple statement like, just tell the AI, hides a huge amount more of complexity. So when we're thinking about AI innovations for our businesses and for the work that we're doing as business leaders, then we need to think about how we're going to handle complexity, how we'll handle the data, what are the kinds of answers we need, how we can put in safeguards so that the complexity behind the AI works for us instead of against us. Because if we don't do that, then we will find that the system will behave to us erratically. And a system that is sometimes right and sometimes wrong, and we don't know which it is not really a very useful system for any kind of business. You don't want to have to guess. If your AI system is giving you an answer that you can help, then it's going to be useful to you. You want to be able to rely on it. And again, the reliability, the correct answers, the ability for the AI to give us what we want, all relies on us understanding that the complexity has to go somewhere and that we have to be able to handle it correctly. And this has to be built into an AI system from the beginning. So when you're selecting an AI tool, one of the things you have to ask yourself or the person you're buying it from is, well, how are you handling complexity? How do you know the answers are going to be correct? How do you know you can handle my use cases? How do I even know what my use cases are? How can I explain that to the AI? So again, a great deal of complexity, a great deal of what appears to be magic with AI is handled through behind the scenes systems. One other point, when you're using a tool like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, it may seem that there isn't really any complexity. Put in a prompt, you get a great answer. But there again, the complexity is hidden from you. Where's the complexity there? It is hidden in something called the system prompt. The system prompt is all the system behind your graphical user interface, but before the model, before like GPT-5 or Anthropic Sonnet or whatever model you're using, all of the complexity that goes into making the AI experience seem easy and seamless for you. So when you're thinking about picking an AI tool for your business, I have 3 simple criteria that you can use to evaluate any tool. And the first one is integrations. Now, in old software that we're using, we expected each piece of software to be separate, right? We have an email system, and then we have Google Docs or Microsoft Word or what it is, and we have a Word system. And if we want the Word document to be in the email, we copy paste it or we make a link. We have to do all that work ourselves. So that's how we're used to working with computer systems in the old way. But in the new way, the AI should be able to integrate with everything. It should be able to plug into your databases, to all of the email, your CRM, your customer relations management tool, Slack, any kind of tool that you're using, the AI should be able to plug into. Because the last thing you need is another complex system that doesn't talk to any of your other systems. The real power of AI today, in my opinion, is in its ability to communicate, to draw data from your entire business as a system. Remember, we're treating the business as a system. That's how we can get the AI to work. But in order for it to interact with the business as a system, to see it as a whole system, it has to plug into all of your existing computer softwares and databases. There are ways of doing this, which I'm happy to talk about separately if people have questions about that. But in general, when you're talking to the vendor of the AI, you have to understand how easy it is to get to talk to all of your own existing software systems already. Workflow fit. Well, does it support your core processes? What are your core processes, by the way? I hope everyone knows, but for example, accounting is a core process. One example that I've run into where people have tried to automate accounting, it doesn't work, is because the people assume that accounting, it's oh so simple, right? An invoice comes in, it's approved for payment, and it gets paid. But what really happens on the ground is an invoice comes in, the vendor hasn't put it in the right format, so your existing system doesn't recognize it. There's an error, so it goes to John, and John has to go and call Jane and say, hey, Jane, I got a problem here. Yeah, can you manually change the system so this invoice will go in? That's how the real world works. So when I'm talking about workflow fit, does the AI support your core processes? I mean your core processes as they actually exist, not as you wish them to be, and not always as the top bosses think they are, by the way. Finally, is it adaptable? Can it learn from your data? Does it allow for customization? You don't want rigid AI. You want flexible AI that learns from you and forms itself around you and your company so that each person in a chain of processes, in a chain of flows, has the AI that enables them to do their best work. Most AI tools, unfortunately, don't really do this right now, but it is something to look for, and I am seeing it more and more. I believe in the future we'll have more tools like this. So 3 simple criteria to evaluate before you get an AI tool. The one thing you want to avoid are any kind of tools that force the humans to adapt to the AI instead of the other way around. So most AI tools today, they behave like traditional software. They expect the humans to learn the interface and memorize the workflow and adapt to the logic of the tool. Why? The whole point in AI is it's conversational, it's flexible. Why can't we have AI tools that do that? And people are starting to build those tools. The whole point of the AI tool forcing the human to adapt to it is backwards. Humans shouldn't contort themselves to make the AI work. AI's entire point is to remove friction, not to add it. If your team has to change how they think, work, or communicate to work with an AI tool, then it's the wrong tool for you. So AI should actually reduce your cognitive load, not increase it. Tools that require tons of training sessions, buckets of information, long manuals, forget it. In my opinion, they're not the right tool. They're not the tool that you should be using, and they're certainly not the tool that are going to propel your business into the future. All right, now you may feel like the little yellow car, and if you could see it, the little yellow car down here at the bottom of the screen, that feels like everything is going way too fast. All right, so this car is going real slow and all the other cars around it are just shooting around. Or maybe you're excited by the speed. But when you're thinking about how to integrate AI into your business process, how to make it work for you and your company, you have to realize AI accelerates everything, the good and the bad. So on the good side, yes, it accelerates productivity. It accelerates communication. It accelerates the ability to create a product or a service that excites your customers. It accelerates the ability for personalization. It can strengthen all your systems. It can be wonderful in that. But any small fault or problem in your system, AI will find it and it will accelerate that. It'll accelerate miscommunication, going down the wrong rabbit hole, wasting time, system weaknesses. Any small thing that is not quite right, not quite 100% in your business system, AI will find it and it will make that problem much worse. And that just comes from the nature of AI. You can't have AI that only does the good without the bad. And it's not the AI's fault, by the way. It's our fault as humans for not having clear processes that the AI can plug into. So let's not blame the AI for the fact that it's accelerating everything, all right? It's the nature of AI. It's on us to make this work. When we're looking for successful AI projects, like Salesforce Einstein, GitHub Copilot, the Notion AI, there's one thing you find they all have in common. They were built from the ground up. They looked at the actual processes of actual humans who were actually using the different tools before AI, and then the AI was built to support and satisfy the needs of those humans. They started with the actual pain points of real users, and they solved their actual problems. They didn't force workers into a new process. They studied what was already happening, so it's the flow of information, yes, but also decisions and handoffs. What do I mean by handoffs? In every business, it's a system with a set of processes. These processes are operated by humans. Each human receives an output of another human's process, kind of like a relay runner receiving a baton. And then that human, they run and they do their process and they add their value. And then they have to hand off that baton, that output, to the next person. AI tools that work are built by people who have studied these handoffs as well and make certain that the AI can work for them. AI is built to slot into the flows, not to make everyone change all the flows in order to satisfy the AI. AI fails when it ignores human behavior and succeeds when it becomes a natural extension for how people already work. So we want AI that works, But too often, we don't start with a deep understanding of the actual work done by humans. And this point is actually found in an MIT study that found that 95% of corporate AI projects fail. Yep, it is actually true. Yet in those same companies, up to 80% of employees were actually already using AI. But consumer AI, ChatGPT, Claude, the things that people use in their day-to-day lives, those employees were using even as their corporate big fancy AI project failed. Why is that? The employees chose the kind of AI they wanted to use and how they wanted to use it, and that's what made it succeed. Too many AI projects today, they start with the bright, shiny AI object at the top of the pyramid. But in order to get there, you got to start all the way down here at the groundwork, where real employees are doing the real work. If you start from here, then you will build or buy AI projects that will work for you in your company, and you'll be part of that 5% of corporate AI projects that succeed, according to the MIT study. So the overall goal when adopting AI into your company is you want to reduce friction. And by reducing friction, I mean, first of all, on the level of the individual employee, they should feel that it's easier to do work with the AI. They shouldn't feel that they're fighting with the AI. If employees feel that they're fighting with the AI, that it's actually making their jobs harder, they'll just bypass it. And then all of a sudden the bosses will find that their great system isn't being used at all. Instead, people will use WhatsApp, email, and that good old-fashioned telephone. But AI should also reduce friction in the handoffs, in the decision-making, in where and how processes move from one person to another, from one department to another, even from one division of the company to another. By reducing all of these levels of friction, you're reducing the cognitive load on your employees. Right now, one thing that tires out people faster than pretty much anything else is cognitive load. And what causes a lot of cognitive load is the fact that we have so many fragmented systems. So people, they start with the email and they say, John needs this thing. Okay, I'm going to run over to the PowerPoint, and then I have to go over to the dashboard maker, and I have to run over to our Slack and get the information because someone mentioned it and I forgot what they talked about and it was last week and I can't find it. Oh, there it is. And now I have to add it in. And all of these changes and running around more and more and more and more through all of these fragmented silos, that increases cognitive load. AI can reduce cognitive load if it keeps people from running around all over the place and instead gives them the information that they need, when they need it, and how they need it. All of these factors together will go toward increasing AI adoption within your company. If you fail to reduce friction and reduce cognitive load, then people simply ignore the AI or else they'll work around it. And they'll have an even worse situation because you won't actually know what people are doing and how they're doing it. So this is a really important point to remember when you're putting together the AI systems. Reduce friction, reduce cognitive load equals increased adoption. Now, a lot of AI tools these days, instead of looking like this cute little bot who's going to talk to you and you're going to have like a nice conversation, they use static screens, but that blocks the AI power. They have static dashboards and static UX, which is the user experience, which force the human to adapt to the software. Now, why is that? Why are they forcing to do it? Well, because it's easy. So as part of RocketSmart, we built our own AI platform, and we have a different way of doing it, which I'll get into a moment. But we've avoided the static screens. The static screens, however, make it much easier to control the AI and what it does. Whenever you move away from static screens and into a more, conversational experience, then you have the potential of losing control as an AI developer. It becomes 100 to 1,000 times harder to prevent hallucinations and to keep control of what's going on once you add in conversational flows instead of having static screens. But that is the best experience for users. Natural language, adaptive flows, zero extra cognitive load. And then behind the scenes where the user can't see it, all of that complexity that's hidden is being handled correctly. Structured steps, logic trees, safeguards, all of those things put together. You don't see this wonderful conversational flow like, gee, I just wish I could talk to a cute bot like this one and not have to worry about pushing the button in the screen and this menu and, oh, wait a minute, I pushed that and I'm in a totally different part of the software, help would happen. It would be great if we could avoid all that. And as I said, I built software to do that, but whenever you do that, it puts a huge amount more load on the AI developers themselves to make certain that the AI is going to work. So when you're picking a tool, look for tools that don't just have static screens. Look for ones that also have conversational capabilities where you can have a conversation with the AI that's flexible. Now, it might be guided, right? It may be that they're going to build the tool so you can't have a conversation about the upcoming vacation you want to take to the Bahamas. That's fine. But at the very least, it should enable you to have a conversation. So if you don't understand something or if you need extra information, you can do it through having a conversation instead of rooting around through all your files and all your folders and all your different softwares that you're trying to use. If we build AI that does it, then we'll unlock the true power of AI, which is conversational. So when we're looking at the future and AI innovations for business, I believe that this conversational AI, this is just a stepping stone. We're going to see this in the next year or two. And some tools have it already. But what we really see in the future and what we should all be aiming for when we're thinking about building and developing AI tools will be an experience like this. So the guy on the left is a representation of an AI agent, your personal AI agent for the executive on the right. In the future, every person's going to have this kind of AI agent who will understand their job, identify missing tools that you need, fetch the correct modules automatically and integrates them, configures all the workflows, handles all the coordination. You won't have to think about software. Instead, your personal AI agent will build your toolkit automatically for you. Now, how is this going to happen? How can your AI agent handle all of that complexity? Well, as we build AI tools for the future of business, we need to build with this kind of flexibility in mind. Yeah. How is this possible? One way to do this, of course, is instead of trying to build tools that are the be-all and end-all, the Swiss Army knife that does everything and won't let the user out, we instead focus on building highly specialized modules. So as an example, with my own software is intended to help early stage innovators like at tech transfer at universities find partners to develop their innovations. So it's good for universities. It's also good for startups if they want to find partners, larger corporations to work with to develop their innovations. And what it does is it takes the innovation and it looks for the industries and then the right companies and then the right person within that company who, through their own statements online, have shown that they have a passion for the idea, because you need to find a champion. Now, this involves a number of different modules, and I have designed our system so that people could actually license out either the whole system or just the individual modules. Some universities even said they want to be able to run our software on their own private cloud. So it's known as on-prem. On-prem used to mean you had a server in the closet. We're no longer talking about that, right? This is a private cloud that you control, that your company controls. That means that you control where all the data goes. It's not hard to do. If someone wanted that in my system, I'm talking to people, I told them I could build it right now. The systems exist to enable us to do that. But the software has to be constructed from the beginning to enable that. Most software is constructed like as a sealed box. And heaven forfend anyone be able to get into the box and take parts out and do anything with it. In order to have this future where your personal AI agent will build your toolkit automatically without you thinking, without you even having to ask for it, then we as software developers, we have to build our software in a modular way to enable this to happen. And then we also have to build overlays that enable the agent to hide all of that complexity and bringing in all these modules and having modules come in and out and connecting through different things. And maybe part of it's on-prem in your private cloud and part of it's on an API call and part of it could be even on your own computer. In order to handle all of that massive complexity, we also have to design systems and ways of thinking about software that will support this kind of automation and ease. Existing software systems, and I hate to say it, I'm sure the University of Greater Manchester is different, but existing computer courses I've seen teach you to build software as a sealed box. You have a beginning and you have an end, and that's it. The idea you might want to connect with other people or maybe disassemble the software so other people could share it. You don't see it in computer education today. So we as leaders, as researchers, folks at university, people like me outside of the university, we have to come together to really work on these new systems that will enable this future. I believe this future in this slide, it is possible. We could do it today. But we have to change how we work and how we think. And that means that we all have to come together to make this happen. Now, I talk to a lot of AI folks, and what I'm proposing here is not something, is something that they all talk about, right? We're all talking about in the AI world. But then when you go to a corporate boss and try to talk with them, oh my gosh, they act like the world's going to come to an end. No, we can't do it. And we can't have the software running on someone's own private cloud because then we can't control it. And how will we make money? And no, we want to do everything for everyone. Other people can plug into us. Okay, that's what some people say. I've talked to some company bosses like, yeah, everyone should just use our software and we'll let everyone plug into us. But this idea of the whole modular business, yeah, forget it. It has to do with power and control and also how we make money. In the end, businesses are about making money. And if we are going to bring AI into our business, then we have to do it in a way that benefits the business in terms of, yes, being able to make money. But if we want AI to benefit businesses everywhere, to enable us to reach our human potential, then this is the goal that we have to reach for. And in order to achieve this goal, everything has to change. Everything that we think that we know, we have to unlearn. Everything that we think is the way everything is being done and it has to be done that way and we can't change, that all has to go out the window. To have this kind of golden future together, we need to start from the beginning, start from the bottom up, and rethink everything. Otherwise, what I'm afraid of is we won't have this AI future, which is the future we could have, that supports human potential, that enables each of us to do the best job possible and to do the most we possibly can, and has companies be a huge hotbed of human potential and human value. Instead, what we'll have is the vision of the Wells Fargo CEO and the IBM CEO and others, where all we do with AI is use it to cut people and get rid of people and remove people from our system. And then we'll end up with weaker companies and weaker systems, and we won't have the golden future that we all need. And quite frankly, we won't be able to get everything done. It won't work just to cut people and shove in AI and hope it's all going to work out. It can't happen. What we need with AI is to go from this, where even if you have as many arms as an octopus and 30 hours in the day, you still couldn't get everything done. Now, she's got a smile on her face, but I got to tell you, by the end of the day, I am definitely snarling at everything, at my computer, and there isn't enough coffee in the world that can keep me going. But if we rethink our systems and build AI for human flourishing by rethinking our entire commercial systems from the bottom up, we could go from this to this, where as humans, we can focus on the parts of the jobs that only we can do, building relationships, understanding human needs, communicating with our fellow humans, surrounded and supported by an entire AI team that is handling all the rest of the work. That again also takes a radical rethink. Bosses are used to, hey, we put in a tool and we can use it to replace people and to get more done quickly that way, and that's how we save money. That is old thinking. That is a thinking from the beginning of the industrial age, where it was true. Yes, when we built in the industrial age, when we first had factories, they would build a steam engine in the middle of the factory and connect all the tools to it because that was the only way they knew how to do it. Oh, and they weren't real clear, by the way, on how the steam engine actually works, so they tended to blow up and catch fire from time to time. And then they were able to replace people because they were able to use tools that directly replaced human labor. And that was great in the 19th century. Folks, we're in the 21st century. Let's chuck out that 19th century thinking. Thinking that AI will enable us to have more of this, that's 19th century thinking. 21st century thinking is this, where instead of trying to replace people or just do the old school way of trying to get more out of fewer people or working people even harder, we radically rethink every single aspect of employment, of what it means to be an employee, of what it means to be a worker, and of what it means to be a company, by integrating in AI that supports human flourishing from the very beginning all the way through to the end. I am hoping that some of the questions we have here and now will enable us to start that discussion about what it's going to look like in our future. How can we make these changes? And how can we do it in a way that enables all of us as people to reach our maximum potential? And by this, I mean also all over the world, in every country and in every place, not just the rich countries, not just the rich companies, not just the big bosses, but really everybody can be fully supported and reach their full human potential through AI. Well, we're kind of coming down to the end of my slides. I hope I went long enough. I always have more to say. But if you have questions, you can reach me at this email address. And there is also my LinkedIn. I recommend you hit me up so we can talk about AI. And I see a question from Samuel.
Good evening, Doctor. I want to thank you for your time and the clarity the presentation is delivered. I'm an advocate of AI adoption. You made mention about the criteria for the adoption, integration, workflow, and adaptability. And my question is on how, who, and the velocity. How do you approach transparency and bias in your AI systems? That is the how. Who is accountable when the decision goes wrong? And also on the velocity at the companies or organizations going fast in the adoption of AI. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your kind words. So let's start with the first one with transparency. So transparency in AI decisions can be difficult with the current large language models because they are black boxes. We actually don't know how they work. We're still doing research. And here's a quick example. Microsoft did a study where they showed that users who are polite to generative AI, so when they talk to Microsoft Copilot or ChatGPT or whatever, if they said please and thank you, they got answers that were more detailed and were actually better answers. Now, they could not have predicted that from the AI model itself. They actually had to study it in action. So one way to meet the needs for transparency is, of course, to actually study what the AIs are doing and to understand how they're doing it. But a second way is through something called agent orchestration. So instead of thinking of AI as like a big block, think about instead if you had 10, 100, 1,000 smaller AI blocks, each one with a particular task or part of the system it was in charge of. And one or more of the agents, their job was transparency. Understanding how the answer was arrived at, looking for bias and unfairness and other issues. You need an AI to kind of watch over the AI to look for transparency. Now, the third problem or challenge, shall we say, with transparency, a lot of companies don't like transparency. Like, no, transparency, bad. They don't even want people comparing salaries, for crying out loud, let alone showing how they actually do their business. So we as customers have to demand that kind of transparency from companies because AI could make everything transparent. Completely transparent, probably much more transparent than companies would like. So transparency is like a multi-layered problem. Now, when AI goes wrong, yes, AI does go wrong sometimes, rather bad that way. Who is responsible then? And here, part of the issue is that you can have multiple systems interacting, and it can be really hard to know where liability or responsibility lies. So here's an example. I actually work with, I've worked with the Association of Lawyers in the Netherlands on AI for self-driving cars. And what happens if the self-driving car has an accident, right? Runs into somebody. Well, you can't really have insurance that's tied to the driver because there isn't a driver. It's not a human. The driver is a car, and the car is part of a system, and it's all this software, and what can you do? So in that case, the conclusion that this group reached was that it actually has to be society-wide. So society as a whole has to ensure the self-driving cars and their actions. So in terms of responsibility and things go wrong, I would say if a company uses an AI software, they're ultimately responsible. But I think this is also something that companies have to do research on. So I also belong to an organization called For Humanity. And one of the things I'm working on within this organization is understanding how AI affects all the stakeholders, not just the customers or the employees or the investors or whatever, but also the people far downstream who maybe don't have any direct interaction with the AI. And so that is work that companies have to do also for this kind of decision making. And look, it's a work in progress. Did I answer all your questions? I think I got them all. Oh, Sam, you're on mute.
My last question is the velocity. Our company
yes.
moving fast.
So companies are moving quickly. There's an estimate right now that we're soon going to see the first billion-dollar unicorn with a single person running the entire show. It is possible. The problem with legacy companies is they have legacy systems. Smaller companies often have an easier time doing this kind of adoption. So part of the speed, part of it's your competitors, and a lot of competitors are going fast and they're just going to run you over. But I think also part of the speed is simply that as more people adopt the AI and they see what's possible, then more people are going to want to do it quickly. I can say that the whole idea of the UX being conversational, people are only now starting to talk about it. I bet next year you're going to see it in a ton of different kinds of softwares. So that's my feeling on that. Okay, Maj, did I pronounce your name right? Maybe I should have somebody call you Mr. Karame. Would you like to ask your question?
Yes, hello. Good evening. I'm trying to open my camera.
Well, you can just...
Can you hear me? Yeah?
I can hear you. Yeah, just ask the question, please.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So first of all, thank you for the great talk, which encouraged us to keep digging into the AI field. Secondly, I want to ask you, how can businesses identify the most or high impact areas where AI can deliver measurable value rather than general implementation? And how can integrating into existing system not cause a major disruption for the workflow?
These are great questions. So the first one, to know what area would be best, is to look within your system and look at processes that are where there's roadblocks. So what do I mean by this? Think about your company's as system as a series of bathtubs, right? So you have outputs from one other part of the system. That's the faucet. You turn it on, water comes out. But the water also has to drain out of the bathtub, or else the bathtub overflows. So I would always advise companies to look through their entire system for those overflowing bathtubs. Those are the first places to look, because usually overflowing bathtubs are because it's hard for people to do the work, or there's something that's unclear, or whatever reason. If you can fix the overflowing bathtubs, those are great places to put in AI, and they're often low-hanging fruit. And then how to do it without disruption, that is, once you found your overflowing bathtub, the part of the system, not just one person, but the whole part of the system where there are problems, you want to talk to the people and actually have the developer or someone watch over their shoulder as they work. And then see, like, how many times are they switching between different software programs? And how many times are they having to contact a person because the software is failing? If you can have an AI that keeps people from having to switch systems all the time because the information is just there, and also keeps them from having to call or email someone else because something has gone wrong, then you won't actually have disruption. The AI will slot in seamlessly. But in order for that to work, you really have to know what the people on the ground are actually doing, and you have to follow them. Right? You got 2 more questions. Let's see. I'm not sure who was first. I think it was, oh dear. Timinior Nikets.
I think he was first. Yeah,
I'm killing your name. Can you please tell me how to pronounce your name? I apologize.
Timiano.
My name is Timiano.
Timienor.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. What is your question, please?
Same here. Okay. Thank you so much for this fantastic session. So my question is this, because in your talk, you mentioned that AI cannot replace trust in business relationship. A human is a trust. So, but how do we now build trust in the AI business process? How come? Yeah.
Well, that's a tough question. So part of one way to build trust is to demonstrate that you're using the AI for the right reasons, right? So if you're building an AI to replace people, they are not going to trust that AI. In fact, they're probably actually going to try to sabotage it and work around it. So if you're building AI to support the employees and the customers and help them achieve their best human impact and potential and human flourishing, they're going to trust that much more. So part of it has to do with intent. A second part has to do with making it clear about how it works, why it works, and what decisions are made. Now, I realize that companies don't always want to be transparent to all external people, but they do need to be transparent to their customers about how their AI is working and how it helps and benefits. They have to show that. They have to show how they arrived at the AI, why they built it that way, and what data is being used and how it's being safeguarded. Same thing is true for the employees. When you're talking with your employees, you need to show how the AI is helping them and how it's safeguarding their personal data, if that's a factor, but also how it is something which will work with them to be able to support them. On top of all that, it is, again, remember I mentioned the AI orchestration, so having the AI to watch the AI. If you have an AI whose job it is to help build trust, you can use it to understand how data is being used, to understand how the AI is being used, and to make reports. And then show those reports to the customers, to the employees, to whoever is appropriate. But one thing that companies absolutely have to get away from is this whole idea of secrecy. We're going to hold everything really tight and we're never going to share anything with anyone. That's out the window. If you do that already, you're not going to have a good reputation. We see that on social media. AI is going to accelerate that. All right, so then the next question was from Nkwangukudu Kelechi. Hello, I am probably mispronouncing your name too. Sorry.
Yeah, Nkwangukudu Kelechi. Yeah, thank you very much for that insightful lecture. It was a very nice lecture and very encouraging. Yeah, the truth is that we cannot deny the fact that AI is taking away job from people. We cannot deny that fact. So my question goes like this: how do we balance this? Yeah, because I've been in a situation that I've had interaction with some. In fact, it is an institution though. I went there for a visitation. I visited the registrar, and I found out that everything they are doing was manual. Student was coming there for their transcript, and they were all manual. Sometimes they'll be looking for their papers, right? So I asked, in this era, you people have not adopted an automated system to process all these things. I mean, the response I got was so shocking that they were saying, who do I his or her job? If they adopt this, there's a lot of persons are going to lose their job. So that's why they still stick on the traditional way of doing it manually. So how do we balance the social thing, the social issue in this AI, so that we adopt AI and people will still maintain their job without losing it?
So I think, first of all, if companies, when they adopt AI, if they don't want to fire people, then they obviously need to find more roles and more jobs for the people to do. One aspect of that, I said, is building relationships and building trust. So let's suppose at the registrar's office, the student goes to get their transcript. Let's suppose it was all automated with AI. So what could those people do? Well, so the people could still, in the registrar's office, could then talk with students about what their transcript could mean in terms of finding employment. What are employers saying? They could act as that interface. They could bring more value to the student by saying, okay, you have a copy of your transcript now, but let's suppose the student hasn't graduated. You know, we're seeing all of these different things. We're talking to people. We could make recommendations to the student for different courses that they could take, or maybe about professional certifications that they could add. Not a course, but like a short work experience or something that could be added. The point is that it's true that the AI could do some of this, but what the AI can't do is get a feel for who the student is by talking to them as a person and make better recommendations on that basis for the person, or talk to the employers and get the information that they don't publish, but they're often willing to tell another human being about. A lot of things that we think the AI can do, they can't do because they'll never have access to the same information that a human picking up the phone and saying, hey, company so-and-so, what are you looking for in recent graduates? And they'll tell another person something they would never publish so that the AI could access it. So I think we need to rethink the kinds of services and what we're offering. And the more human-to-human services, I think we not only could, but should be offering. We've gotten to the point right now where we've tried to do so much with automation, people can go through multiple touch points with the company and never talk to a human. Why? If we have AI being able to do all these other things, why not let the humans talk to each other? Now, the reason why we didn't do it before is because the humans were busy doing all the work. They didn't have time to go and talk to people. But I think if we rethink about how we do business and how we support our customers, then we can still employ people to do all of the various kinds of work. And we won't necessarily see a reduction in employment. Now, will this always be true? I'm not sure. But I do think, though, that if companies don't rethink about how they work and about how they provide services to customers and about how they can grab more customers from the competition, then we are going to have a problem where everyone's just going to have a race to the bottom. But then we'll also have companies that won't operate very well, because if you have a race to the bottom, guess what? You crash because you hit the ground, right? So this need to rethink is not only for the individual employees, it's also for the companies. Now, on yet another side, and I know we got more questions. We're running out of time. Sorry. Okay, I'll try to make this more brief.
Unfortunately, I need to cut you off here with the Q&A.
No, but there's still
Yeah.
two more people. Oh, come on. Can we squeeze in two more quick questions? I promise to talk less.
Celestine, have you got a bit more time?
I don't know. Maybe we'll take one more. They can send their questions and interact with Deborah later on LinkedIn.
Absolutely,
it
and
should be
also
a
by
way-
email.
Yes, it should be a way to interact more with you. Let them not give everything. A finished man is a dead man. You're not dead. We don't want you dead today. So we'll cut it off and then we'll connect with you on LinkedIn. Yes.
Okay. That sounds great. So do we have time for one more quick question, or do we want to just cut it off now and call it a night?
Okay, good evening, Doctor.
I'm sorry, who's talking?
My name is Benga Adenoga.
Ah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doctor, for actually taking us through this session. It's such an innovative and yet an eye-opener. Thank you very much. During this session, you made mention of static screen. So my question about that is, what limitations do static screens create for users, and how does conversational AI overcome those limitations to develop more, to deliver more accurate and efficient results?
So the issue there is that right now, most software, if you're using like Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or whatever, there's all specific screens. You push a button and you get like a menu, and you push a button there and then something happens. So that's what I mean by static screens. It's all very fixed and deterministic. Current LLM interfaces like ChatGPT, Claude, from Anthropic, they use purely conversation. There's no structure whatsoever. You ask a question, you can end up going down a rabbit hole. So the difficulty comes in trying to merge the two. When you want to have a structured flow to bring someone through a process without at the same time restricting them to certain screens, because that's easier for you to control as a developer. It sounds easy to do, but I can tell you from experience, it is very, very hard to program. And the reason why is you need to build in the flow in a way that is very clear to the user. So you lead them through it so they don't feel that they're being forced from screen to screen. All they feel is that what they want to do is being done with them very easily and very simply and very naturally. That is very hard to do. And then the second thing, which is very hard to do, is to control the AI under those cases. Because when you're opening up the AI to have more of a conversation, the AI is going to make more mistakes and to hallucinate more. The way I've done it right now in my software, I have a flow with a certain series of tabs. So you go from step to step to step to step. The people see it right now, it's explicit. But at each step, you have the explicit part, like the part that is part of the flow that I set up that's done for them automatically. And then you have on the same screen, next to the part which is done for them automatically and gives them information, you have a conversational piece. You have a place where they can put in their questions and ask them, and the AI will answer about the information in that part or about the entire flow. And in order to get that to work, there's a huge amount of computing that has to go on in the background, a huge amount of AI. Whereas if I didn't have that, if all I want to do is simply do the part automatically for the user without having a conversation, it's like maybe 10% of the complexity I would need on the AI. So that's the problem with it, is it takes a ton of work. And also, where do you draw the line? Should it be mostly screens with a little bit of conversation? Should it be mostly conversation with only a little bit of structured flow? That depends on your application, and that is something I'm working on right now. A few other people are talking about it as well, but in my opinion, that is something that we should all be focusing on for the future.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. I just want to thank you again for your talk. I love how you're painting this more Star Trek-like AI future than, I don't know, the more miserable one. So I really like that, and also how you called out many universities, how they are not planning the courses right, and it's very insightful as a lecturer especially. So I really enjoyed that. Sometimes good to be called out a little bit. I'm going to hand over now to Sam for the last bit of the whole presentation.
Thank you very much, Chiara. Thank you so much, Dr. Graeser. That was an absolutely fantastic talk, and I could have listened to you for at least another hour. And just to echo Chiara's comments there, what I found so refreshing is this very humanistic and humanitarian approach to AI. I've never really heard anybody talk about how we can use AI as an enabler in that way. So that sort of very human-centered approach that you're talking about, it makes you want to embrace AI when it's phrased and voiced in that way. And also, personally, I just have to say, I love all of your water metaphors: sailing in a storm, container ships, overflowing baths. Great. I loved it. It went all the way through your narrative. So I really thought that was fantastic. But what a fascinating talk. I'm sure colleagues and participants and students on the call will be going out and buying your AI process playbook. I'm sure I will be. So that was absolutely wonderful. So thank you very much. And I'll just share my screen now, if I may. And if you can see that, we'd like to give you an electronic award for joining us today. And thank you so much. That was just really enlightened and enlightening. Thank you very, very much, Dr. Graeser. That was a fantastic session. Thank you very much. I'm sure everyone would want to give you another round of applause. That was just brilliant. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for the electronic award. It's very pretty.
Okay, so I think Chiara or Professor Celestine, are you going to close for the evening?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Duvara. And this is, like I said again, I'm so happy you brought out this time to give us something good. Like Sam said, we are very delighted. The lecture will listen again and again. You're a great speaker. Thank you so much. We'll continue again with November to Remember tomorrow. Make sure you'll be there. Please be very careful. Your names, your tag, write your names very well. We know we banned so many people today. We do not allow many people enter because we are very careful of what we do and our reputation. Thank you and good night, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming.
Bye, everyone. That was fantastic. Lovely.